All right, let's dive in. This time we're going way back.
Oh, yeah.
Way back, over 3,000 years, to explore Vedanta.
Vedanta.
Sometimes called the end of knowledge, the ultimate knowledge. It's fascinating stuff. Think of it as like a spiritual framework
Yep.
woven into Indian philosophy,
Right.
and we're going straight to the source.
The source.
The Upanishads.
Ah, the Upanishads.
Yeah, now I know what you're thinking.
Ancient texts.
Heavy stuff.
A little bit.
But trust me, we're going to extract the nuggets,
Okay.
the wisdom that still resonates today. We'll explore what Vedanta says about, well,
About reality.
about us, about the universe.
Big questions.
Big questions.
Yeah.
And see if we can't apply some of that ancient wisdom to, well, to
Yeah.
modern life.
You know, it's incredible, these ideas,
Yeah.
how they've lasted for millennia. Starting with the Vedas.
The Vedas.
Yeah, oldest scriptures we know of.
I've heard of them.
This amazing collection of hymns, rituals,
Yes.
and philosophical discussions that really get you thinking.
Now, Vedanta isn't just one thing, right?
You're right.
It seems like there are all these different schools of thought within it.
You're absolutely right. Over centuries, you have these brilliant minds like Adi Shankaracharya,
Uh-huh.
Ramanuja, and Madhvacharya.
A lot of names to remember.
Yeah, well, they came along and they added their own interpretations, right?
Yes.
Which led to these different branches, different schools
Okay.
of Vedanta. There's Advaita Vedanta,
Advaita.
which emphasizes non-dualism. So the idea that everything is ultimately one.
Okay.
Then there's Vishishtadvaita,
Vishishtadvaita.
which is a sort of qualified non-dualism.
Okay.
And Dvaita, which focuses on dualism,
Dualism.
a separation between the individual soul and the divine.
So different, like flavors.
Flavors.
Yeah, like
Okay.
choosing your ice cream.
Uh-huh. I like that analogy. But here's what's really amazing.
What's that?
Despite these differences, right, all schools of Vedanta share this core set of concepts.
They do.
They all talk about Brahman, the ultimate reality.
The ramen.
Yeah, the source of everything. They all emphasize the unity of all beings.
Okay.
And they all agree that liberation, or moksha, is the ultimate goal of life.
Brahman, unity, liberation.
Big ideas.
Big ideas. Let's unpack them one by one.
All right.
First up, Brahman.
Okay.
What exactly is it, and how does it relate to,
Everything.
well, imagine everything in the universe, right?
Heck.
All the stars, planets, galaxies.
Mm-hmm.
Even us, Vedanta says it all comes from Brahman.
It all comes from Brahman.
Think of Brahman as this infinite, eternal source of existence, not just a god,
Not just a god.
but more like the very fabric of reality itself. So less about a being
Less about a being.
and more about, I don't know, the source code of reality,
You got it.
like the fundamental energy from which everything
Everything
Yeah.
arises. It's not a thing in the way we usually think of things.
Okay.
Vedanta describes Brahman as Satchidananda.
Satchidananda.
Existence, consciousness, bliss. So it's not just that things exist,
Right.
but there's an awareness, a consciousness
Mm.
that pervades it all.
Okay.
And even beyond that,
Yeah.
there's this concept of bliss,
That's success.
an ultimate happiness that goes beyond anything we experience
In the world.
in the world. Yeah.
Hold on. Existence, consciousness, bliss all rolled into one.
It's a lot, I know.
It's a lot to wrap my head around.
It is.
Any chance you can make it a little more
More.
relatable?
Okay, think of it this way. Have you ever heard of the unified field theory in physics?
I have, yeah.
So it's this idea that all the forces in the universe,
Yeah.
gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak forces,
Mhm.
they're all just different expressions of one fundamental force.
I've heard of that.
Pretty mind-blowing, right?
Yeah, trying to imagine a single source for everything in the cosmos.
Exactly. And that's what Brahman is,
Okay.
in a way. It's the unified source of
Oh.
existence, consciousness, and bliss. It's like the ocean.
Okay.
And everything we perceive,
Right.
ourselves included,
Mhm.
we're like waves
Waves.
on that ocean.
Okay.
The waves appear separate,
Right.
but they're all just part of the same water.
Okay. I think I'm starting to get a sense of it,
Good.
this idea of a unified source.
Yeah,
Incredibly profound.
it is.
So if Brahman is this ultimate reality,
This ocean of being.
where do we fit in? What about our individual selves?
That's where the concept of Atman comes in.
Atman.
Yeah, the individual self, the soul, the essence of you.
So we've got this vast ocean of existence,
Yeah.
and then we have Atman,
Right.
our individual selves, like waves on that ocean. But how separate are those waves, really?
That's the question, isn't it?
Is there a point where, like, the wave realizes that it is the ocean?
That's the heart of it.
Yeah.
Vedanta says that Atman,
Yeah.
isn't separate from Brahman at all.
It isn't.
In fact,
Boy.
Atman is S.
Atman.
You, in your essence, are not separate from the ultimate reality.
Whoa. Okay, hold on.
I know it's a lot.
Think of it like how?
Like a drop of water taken from the ocean.
Okay.
It may appear separate,
Right.
but it's still ocean water.
Okay, now that's a concept.
It's a big one.
That really makes you think.
It does.
You're saying my true self, the essence of who I am,
Yeah.
is the same as this ultimate reality, this Brahman.
That's what Vedanta says.
That's pretty radical.
It is.
But if that's true,
Yeah.
why don't we experience it that way? Why do we feel so separate, so limited?
Well, Vedanta calls this avidya,
Avidya.
which means ignorance.
You can
It's
just
like we're wearing these glasses
Okay.
that distort our vision, right?
Sure. Yeah.
They make us see ourselves as these separate individuals
Yeah.
when we're anything but.
When we're anything but. So this limited perception.
It comes from our attachment to the ego, to the sense of I and mine.
So it's like we're mistaking the
Yeah.
wave for the ocean.
Yeah.
Forgetting that we're part of something so much bigger.
Perfect analogy. And it's this ignorance
This avidya.
that leads to so much suffering. Think about it. We chase after all these things.
We do.
We think they'll make us happy.
Yeah.
But true happiness,
Uh-huh.
lasting fulfillment,
Yeah.
that can only be found when we realize our true nature,
Or true nature.
our unity with Brahman.
You know, there's this saying I once heard.
Oh, yeah.
Enlightenment is a destructive process. It has nothing to do with becoming better or being happier. Enlightenment is the crumbling away of untruth. It's seeing through the facade of pretense. It's the complete eradication of everything we imagined ourselves to be.
Wow, that's powerful.
It really resonated with me, and it seems to resonate with what we're talking about here.
It does. It speaks to the heart of what Vedanta's all about.
Yeah.
Stripping away the illusions
Yeah.
that keep us from experiencing our true nature.
Right. Right.
It's a process of recognizing
Mhm.
and letting go of those limiting beliefs.
That creates separation.
Separation, suffering.
Okay, so if we're all waves on this ocean of Brahman,
All interconnected.
what does that mean for like how we live our lives, how we treat each other?
That brings us to another key concept in Vedanta, the interconnectedness of all things.
Interconnectedness.
If there's only Brahman, and we're all expressions of Brahman,
Yeah.
then there's no real separation
There's no real separation
between you, me,
right.
or anything else. Those distinctions we make.
Between ourselves and others,
Between people and nature, right? They're all ultimately.
They're all.
Huh?
So you're saying there's no other,
There's no other.
that we're all part of this
Single, unified.
clarified reality.
Yeah.
Precisely. Just like those waves on the ocean.
We appear and disappear on the surface, but
The ocean remains one.
the ocean remains one. And when we truly grasp this interconnectedness,
Mm-hmm.
compassion and empathy, they just become natural.
They become natural.
Harming another is ultimately harming yourself
Harming yourself because
because we're all woven together.
we're all woven together in the same...
Fabric of existence.
Wow, this is really making me rethink
It's a lot.
my whole perspective
Oh, yeah.
on the world.
It is.
But this all sounds incredibly profound.
Yeah.
Maybe even like a little intimidating.
I can see that.
How do we move beyond just intellectually understanding this
Right.
and actually experience this unity?
That's where practices like meditation, self-inquiry,
Okay.
and ethical living come in. Think of them like tools, right?
Tools.
To help you dismantle that ego, that illusion of separateness
Okay.
that keeps you from experiencing your true nature.
So it's not just about reading about these concepts. It's about actively working to embody them.
Exactly. Meditation helps you quiet the mind,
Yeah.
connect with that stillness within.
Uh-huh.
Self-inquiry encourages you to question your assumptions,
Yeah.
to see through the illusions of the ego. And ethical living, so treating others with kindness, compassion, respect.
Yeah.
It aligns your actions with this understanding.
With this understanding of interconnectedness.
It's
So it's like a journey,
It is self-discovery.
a process of like peeling back the layers to reveal our true nature.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's about cultivating a deep awareness
Deep awareness.
of yourself, of the world around you, recognizing that interconnectedness
Recognizing the interconnectedness.
of all things. And as you progress on this journey,
Uh-huh.
you start to experience a profound shift
Gift.
in your perception.
Okay.
The world doesn't feel so fragmented anymore.
Yeah.
You experience this deeper sense of peace and connection. Not just with yourself, but with everyone.
And everything around you.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered Brahman,
Yeah.
Atman, this idea of interconnectedness.
Yep.
And even some practices that can help us realize these truths.
It's a lot, I know.
But there's one question that keeps popping up for me.
What's that?
Is Vedanta just another word for Hinduism?
That's a great question. And the answer
An answer.
is both yes and no.
Yes and no.
Vedanta is deeply rooted
Okay.
in the Vedas,
Yeah.
which are the foundational scriptures of Hinduism.
Right.
But while Hinduism is this vast and diverse religious tradition,
Okay.
Vedanta is more of a focused
Philosophical system.
exploring the ultimate nature of reality.
So maybe Hinduism is like a vast forest.
Right.
And Vedanta is like a particular path through that forest.
That's an excellent analogy.
Uh-huh.
Hinduism encompasses all these practices, beliefs, rituals, even deities.
Okay.
But Vedanta focuses primarily on the philosophical inquiry
The philosophical inquiry into...
into Brahman, Atman,
Right.
and the path to liberation
So what are some key differences?
between the two.
Yeah, between Hinduism and Vedanta.
Well, for starters, Hinduism has this pantheon of gods and goddesses,
Okay.
while Vedanta focuses ultimately on that one ultimate reality,
Brahman.
Brahman. Hinduism emphasizes dharma,
Dharma.
which is duty or righteous conduct.
Okay.
Vedanta emphasizes moksha,
Moksha.
which is liberation from this cycle of birth and rebirth.
So you could say that Hinduism is more about like living a good life
Yeah,
in the world, while Vedanta is more about transcending the world altogether.
you could certainly see it that way,
Okay.
but it's important to remember that both are
Oh.
complex and nuanced.
Right.
There's a lot of overlap, a lot of shared ground.
So they're distinct,
Distinct,
but interconnected,
interconnected.
just like everything else, right?
Exactly. And what's fascinating
What's fascinating,
is that while Vedanta is rooted in Hinduism,
right?
its teachings have resonated with people,
With people from all sorts of.
backgrounds, regardless of their religious beliefs.
So there's something universal about it.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks to that universal yearning to understand
Understand who we are,
who we are, where we
come from, what our purpose is.
I can definitely see that. There's something about these ideas
Yeah.
that feels
Yeah.
timeless, universal,
Absolutely.
and deeply relevant to our lives today.
It are.
But wow,
I know, right?
we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
It feels like we've only just scratched the surface.
We have, but that's the beauty of a deep dive like this.
Yeah.
We get a taste, spark our curiosity, and hopefully inspire you to explore further on your own.
Feels like we've only dipped our toes into this vast, ocean of knowledge.
It is a lot to take in.
It is. But I have to say, I'm already feeling like a shift.
Just shift.
Yeah, in my perspective.
I can understand that.
This idea that we are the universe, not separate from it.
It's a big idea. It's humbling and also exhilarating.
It is. And remember, Vedanta isn't just like an intellectual exercise, right?
Right.
It's about applying these insights
Yeah.
to your everyday life, to your experience, how you relate to yourself, to others, to the world around you.
So it's not about like escaping to a cave and meditating all day long.
Not necessarily.
It's about integrating these principles
Yeah,
into like how we actually live.
exactly. Vedanta encourages you to live with this awareness,
Awareness.
with compassion, and with that sense of unity
Right.
that we've been talking about.
That we've been talking about. Okay, so if you had to distill everything we've talked about
Everything.
into one key takeaway
It's just one.
for our listener.
Okay, let me see. I would say this. You are not separate from the universe.
Not separate from the
You
universe.
are the universe.
Yeah.
Everything is interconnected. And your true nature
My true nature.
is pure consciousness, pure bliss.
Wow. That is both profound and, if I'm being honest, a little terrifying.
It can be a lot to grasp.
Yeah. It's a huge responsibility to realize that we're not just these isolated individuals,
Right.
but part of something
Something much bigger.
so much bigger than ourselves.
It is a big responsibility, but it can also be incredibly liberating.
Liberating. How so?
Well, when you realize your true nature, you're no longer bound by those limitations.
The limitations of the ego.
The limitations of the ego, exactly. You can experience this profound sense of peace,
Car.
freedom, and joy that goes beyond the ups and downs of everyday life.
So it's like once you glimpse the ocean,
Yeah.
you can never go back to just focusing on the waves.
You got it.
Mm.
And the more you explore this vast ocean of consciousness, the more you realize how interconnected everything truly is.
Everything.
Your actions, your thoughts, your very being, they ripple outward
They ripple outward.
and affect the whole city.
Wow. What an incredible thought to end on.
It is a powerful idea.
It is. So as you go about your day, dear listener, I want you to consider this. What if you truly lived as though everything were interconnected?
Think about it.
How would your actions change? Your relationships?
How you see the world.
Exactly. How you treat yourself.
It's all connected.
It really is. Well, thanks for taking us on this deep dive. It's definitely sparked a lot of questions.
I'm glad to hear it.
And a whole new way of looking at things.
That's what we hope for.
It is. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning,
Keep exploring.
keep exploring the depths of your own being. You might be surprised by what you discover.